Do you have slides?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. Afian.
Very cool, eh? Still cool.
Still cool.
Maybe
Yeah, I
we
think
can
so.
turn off a bit for half an
It's
hour.
like a
Yeah.
refrigerator.
To unfreeze. Okay, so we have our next presentation from the project Exploring Local Infrastructures and Initiatives for Civilian Self-Protection in Papua Amidst Violent Conflict. And we have our speakers, Delcy Ronnie and Afianza.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Berit. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Delcy Ronnie, principal investigator for this research, and Arfian is a co-investigator. I'm represent Non-Violent Peace Force here, and Arfian represent ICAIOS, International Conference for Aceh and Ocean Studies, based in Banda Aceh. So the research is focused on the West Papua. We start the research in October 2022. It's already more than 1 year. We finished the field work, and we are now is finalizing the draft of the research. The field work was conducted last year between May and June, directly in West Papua on the ground. In 3 or 4 kabupaten, or kabupaten is sub-province or district. In Sorong, Jayapura, and Wamena. Okay. We are also developing the policy paper right now. We are hoping that we can share some recommendation for the new administration in Indonesia, because as you know that there was election last week in Indonesia. So I hope from this research we can give some policy recommendation on this matter. And aside this research, we also conducted several training with the local CSO. The training including the UCP training, mine risk education training supported by Alfredo Lubang, IHL, IDP's profiling. Because when we conducted the field research, we realized that some activities, we need to support the local community. When we talk about UCP, they need some capacity development. So we developed a series of training, including international humanitarian law, mine risk education, IHL, gender-based violence, and others. Yeah. And one of the challenging, because West Papua is very far from Aceh. It looks like from London to Dubai, Aceh to Jayapura, more or less. So it's like 5 or 7 hours direct flight, but there is no direct flight. So if you travel today to West Papua, you will reach Papua tomorrow from Aceh. So it's very far. But and also the security situation, and also the area. There is no direct access even inside the Papua. So we need to use another airlines airline to reach some area. So another thing also about trust, yeah. So many questions when you conducted the research. We will ask what is the research contribution for us, what this research can give us a benefit, right? Because maybe you just come here, you ask so many questions, but then you just publish the report and nothing changed for us. So this is the very practical question from many communities. So that's why at that time we decided to conduct some training, and they are quite happy. Then a lot of requests right now to collaborate with church institution and also with academy, the university. So Arfian will present the finding, the research finding, and yeah. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Bang Roni. Thank you, the audience. My name is Arfiansa, as introduced by, we call it Bang. Bang means brother. That's been very close. And well, the backgrounds about that was one the hand drawings from our participant during the hand drawings activity after the UCP training. My presentation will be around these hand drawings. This is drawings by an artist. He drew about the intensity of conflict in West Papua. So the red color is very intensive conflict, and the yellow is lower intensive, and the green is relatively safe, but actually not. So can we go to the next section? Yeah, so as introduction, I would like to introduce you to the violence in West Papua. So I am chatting Galtung typology of violence here, like direct violence, cultural violence, structural violence. It's so that the violence in Papua is very, very complex. So, well, I start from cultural violence. It starts from as long as the local people can remember. Tribal war still exists. Normally, it's because of the land annexation by the other tribe or clan member, or by or women's issue. But no, this both issue decreased thanks to church organization that has did a great mission there in Papua. But the tribal war still exists because of other issues like crime. For example, when we our first visit in October, when we plan to fly to Wamena, I will show you later on the map where is it. So we were advised by our friend in Wamena not to delay the flight because the tribal war was still taking place, and it would be unpredictable. So we had to delay like 3 days to wait for the tribal war to end. And we were there. We learned that the tribal war because of the murderer. It triggered by the drownsman killed his friend, and then negotiation between two clans didn't end very well. So rather tribal war then starts. And it should be stopped and stop with the presence of military force and cultural elites. And other violence to women because they are very patriarchal society. One of our informant during the UCP training has like a tear on her life. And when I asked why is that, why my husband beat me, and that's okay, he said. So she like, because that part of the culture, right? So it is this what I mean. This what cultural violence exists there. Well, the structural violence it starts in the integration of the West Papua into Indonesia in 1962, and still ongoing until today. And the military operations still. Intensify in West Papua, particularly in the mountainous area, like drones by one artist that in the red area. And since the integration of West Papua to Indonesia government broke or continued the internal migration program of the Dutch colonial time. So they broke Javanese mostly to the Papua. And that caused large land grabbing and stuff. And for the Papua, the land is very important and has different concept with other Indonesian parts. So for them, land is the mother nature in its philosophical and pragmatical meaning. So no inch of land without honor. So every one clan may has like 100 hectares. So when this transmigrant came to their land, they cleared the lands, and that hits their core of culture, and this caused fight. And the question is then, with all this violence happens there, so how the civilians protect themselves? So are there initiative or infrastructure that enables or disabling these protections? So this this look like easy question to address or to ask to the people, but in practice it is quite difficult because these questions, because every time we ask this question, our informant, our key source person always associate this to conflict. So every time we ask how they protect themselves, they immediately suspect us as part of the military force, because this intelligence question, right? So we learn how they protect. That means we are learning how they try to protect their friend, where to go and stuff, and where the report will be brought, whether to military or the Indonesian force. So, and infrastructure are asking initiative, infrastructure and asking who protect them. So asking who against the government. So we have, in the field, we have to elaborate this creatively. We have to do many maneuvers in the field, and at the end we start by asking their personal history in conflict. So how they experience about the violence and stuff, and they start narrating their own history. And for the best of our knowledge, the study on the Papua know very much on human rights issue, other conflicts, human rights, historical background of the conflicts, and position the local people as the hopeless people who needs hands. So like very few study we learned that see the agency in these local people. So then our research try to see from other perspective. Sorry, we go to data collection. Yeah, well, yeah, to collect data collection, please. Yeah, and so we did interview in these three area. The printer, sorry, man. Well, Wamena is where armed conflict no exist and intensify, and where the New Zealand pilots no being kidnapped by the insurgency group. We visit that area, and that's very small town, but most developed area in this green color. So, and then we visit Jayapura. It is established by the Dutch during World War II. Its previous name was Hollandia, it means Holland, and was the basis for the military force during World War II. Well, and Sorong was one of the earliest city in the West Papua that had contact with outsider, starting from 13th century. So he had, and then during World War during World War I, it was under Muslim Sultanate of Todero, and that was mostly about economic and mostly about economic interest. Well, meanwhile, the Wamena was firstly seen accidentally from the airplane of American mission in 1950s. So it was like, well, they call this that unmapped area, unknown peoples practicing extinct culture. So one of our transmigrants informants working in the area in 1970s said that he was constructing the roads in the city. He said that the people were still cannibal, eating people. So because he's quite clean and white, so they thought that he was very delicious flesh. So he has to trick to escape. from them. But he said that actually that people are very nice. So what do you mean nice? So they try to eat you, I said. Well, because they have that culture before, but they are very cooperative. And when he even invited them to work in the constructions, although he was them every afternoon. That was in 1970s. So this showed that the deployments in the most intensive armed conflict is very low, and that compared to Jayapura. Jayapura was established by Hollands and was the capital of the West Papua for years, and the central for politics, economics, and everything, and where the university established there. And Sorong, which has contact before with foreigner, so the response to violence is very different. So the deployments and also later the demography between transmigrants and indigenous people, the composition between them decides or define how they respond to violence and how they respond to the armed conflict or to the military force. And in this place, in the West Papua, we met church activists, lecturers, academicians, and all civilians organization, student organization from all over the Papua were in Jayapura mostly because that's central everywhere, and they are very well connected to each other. Although we were in Sorong here, in the very corner, we met some people who had connections with people in Wamena, in Jayapura, and around here, Nabire. So Jayapura was the center, like the capital for the whole Papua. And then we also visit Java Island, Yogyakarta, to meet students. Because another kind of violence that encountered by Papua is labeling and stigma. So this caused racism case in 2019. So we want to learn how they protect themselves from violence and from all stigma and labeling. And also in Jakarta, we met activists, Papuan activists there, and also some Papuan students in Aceh, where we're from. And then we go to next slide, please. Oh, we can move here. Okay. So what we approach? So well, this is quite tricky for us. After collecting data, we try to reflect what is data about, what this protection is about. So it's quite difficult and quite philosophical, I guess. So beyond our risk. So we pick up agency as our approach to this research, and sometime after writing this our draft, so we had time to visit Chiang Mai and meet our friend there, Joe and friend. We visit Mesot, and we learn from the people that maybe protection means solidarity, as these people practice in Mesot, or maybe caring, or maybe voluntary. So, but our data doesn't support that reflection, so we stick on this agency. So, well, this agency is very important to see how civilian protections practice in the people. So, showing that civilians are not hopeless people, so they has the power to exercise or to intervene in a situation or to refrain from any situation. So, as shown by many scholars, that agency has in every layers of the community and it is exists in every situation. So we think that it is one of the best, appropriate concept to discuss about civilian protection, to see that everyone has the authority, the power to exercise their plan, to exercise their wills, or to protect them, or to deal with any unintended situation. So and then next, and this and the geographical setting of violence, as I presented before. So violence, civilian strategy protection is very contextual to developments and also to geopolitics and demography. So as I said before, that these three areas we visited has very different level of development. So that means they have different level, different kind of violence they encounter, and also different response to it. And also and also that's different composition of the people. But most important thing is that to see this, we see this central agency is very central in this approach, and we find that how they protect themselves is become a part of the larger network. Although it may appear that they work individually, like some lawyer or activist work, but they actually part of this of the network they establish in Jakarta National Network with other activists there, or even like in Southeast Asia. So and also they are part of very big organization like a church. So this is like very effective protection mechanism for them, because one will give early warning system to the other, or if one happen to encounter problem, other will have to with their own capacity to help the one that's in problem. And then we try to divide this strategy following this dual barter classification: flag, support, and voice. So, well, under the UCP curriculum, there are many kind of approach or many kind of practice of civilian protections, but we try to put them into bigger, more general category, into that flight, support, and flees. So flight or to flee doesn't mean that civilian has no agency, has no choice. Before they flee, they have to choose whether what to bring, where to go, and what to do. And also support is mostly chosen by those who stay in their home. And the support does not also mean only to give supply for one of conflicting parties or informations. But later in this presentation, we also saw that supports mean also giving non-combatants engagement to one party. And phrase, well, there are barter classify phrase into three: that defiance, like demonstrations, and also everyday phrase, like using symbols. Well, we will see if you visit West Papua, most Papuan will use like many independent symbol. Their clothes, their bags, their their all body accessories. And we also find peace priests in Papua who try to promote peace management, conflict management, sorry. And this was also the most, well, although it is the weapon of the weak, as many people consider, but it is the most effective protection mechanism, as they increase the awareness of others about their situation, and the other will put the pressures on this violence actor to decrease the violence act. And then, so we start from the flight. So the three category doesn't mean only separated one by one, but they also combine two or three together. So we start from flag and phrase. So those who flee, I want to take example from my brats. So, so my brat is here. This is my brat. They flee to Sorong, and we meet them in Sorong. And other in Tanjaya around here. And so there are three communities who flee from their area. My brat in Tanjaya and Vinay, they are from different area, and they flee for three different reasons. And they also stay for three different reasons. Well, those who flee from one of the from this area, my brat, they start to flee since insurgency group kills the army military force, four of them, and a priest who are familiar with the typology of the conflict, aware of what will be coming next. And then he led his Parisian community to flee in early morning. Firstly to the nearest district, and then in that district, the local people reject their presence, because their presence mean welcoming them in their area mean welcoming violence and harm. So there was sort of like conflict with the host and the IDPs, and then they start to flee to Sorong. In Sorong, they were assisted by the coalitions of local GSO, where Church is one of them. And this local GSO provide them, empower them, many training, assist their livelihoods, and also provide them shelter. There is no shelter camp in Papua. And that's why Indonesia government mostly do not recognize IDPs in Papua, because there is no certain camp. So they live then in this abandoned house and also a rented house. So one house occupied at least by 5 households. So it's very, very crowded. So there is no gender's room for the woman and for the girl. But this coalition assists them with basic needs. Education for the children provided by the church, and also give them training on any kind of training that empower them to speak about themselves. And also this coalition also become like a bridge mediating between their needs and the governments to support their livelihoods, and or with other NGOs to support small agriculture they started, and that's that was quite supporting the IDPs there, although caused a lot of social problem later because they are not recognized by local people and stuff. And also and also supports. So looking at the history of conflict in Papua, so it is understandable that the indigenous Papua will support the insurgency group because of the long presence of the Indonesia in Papua. And also because of that, the trans-migrant who brought by Indonesia government will support the government, the Indonesian military force. So, well, for years, well, for those who flee from here area, Nduga, they flew to Wamena that we visited. So the flee is to support the insurgency group. So by the traditional tribal war concept, war has to be in very far area from the communal settlement. So the tribal war should take place there. So this insurgency group was actually inviting the military force to have the open war. But so that never being responded by the military. So then the chief of the tribe and also and the commander of the insurgency group then decide to depopulate the village, and they flee and they flew to the Wamena. So when I met this Wamena tribe and asked how they support their life, they said that they just share their land. That's very large land, and they will not return until the war end. So it is part of their involvement in the fight in the war. So it is so that civilians is not in nonsense, although they don't poses a direct threat to the military or to the other civilian. Well, the transmigrant with their history, as I said before, so eventually the indigenous people were not very happy what we did with their lands, so they always disrupt them and took claim some debt, and they then established in 2010 Association of Transmigrants, a whole innocent migration called Paguyuban Nusantara. So it is so they try to make like a networking system, organization system that to protect their needs in Papua. And how effective is this? We can see during the racism case in West Papua in 2019. So as shown here, this is in Wamena. As we can see, they still use arrow to fight. Transmigrants in Wamena is very few. They only inhabited the capital. So they are the minority. So, at the time of the chaos, the night before the chaos, all the transmigrants' property were marked X. That means being a target for the next morning. So in the next early morning, the house all house and property were burned down with the people inside and get burned. And many then transmigrants were assisted by military to go outside of the area. And their Wamena response to any conflict is, because of the lack of education, infrastructure, and staff, so the response is very violently. And where in Jayapura, where the Paguyuban Nusantara exists, so this Paguyuban, this association of transmigrants, become like a balancing force to any violence act in Jayapura. So another power that is used by the military to stabilize the area. So when these indigenous people start burning because of being provoked, actually, there was two demonstrations. The first demonstration was run peacefully, where transmigrant and indigenous people protest and urge the government to detain the provocateur. And the second demonstration where chaos happened, there was like drowned people, provoke the people to burns, and then become widespread. And they start burning all infrastructure and even killing the transmigrant, and they respond. So as can we see, this transmigrant in the picture. In the Jayapura, there is a street block by the transmigrant group. So actually they were supported by military force. Yeah. Okay, and the next is the voice. This is the voice, the defiance voice by the students mostly. They demonstrate, and since the racism chaos, the demonstration cannot be organized outside of the university. It should be inside of the university, of the university, and they were and demonstrations were protected by words by the military force. And the way to stop demonstration was acting violently to them. And that happened in the university. And the everyday phrase include gossip and the use of symbol that we can see everywhere. So gossiping, what happening there to military, and using of symbol, bracket, sword, all with independent symbols. And we once get warned, we cannot follow. We cannot use the same symbol as these people do, because we will immediately suspect it as part of them. So that's why we only buy this kind of bracelet. So it's very natural. So and then the engagement phase. So this is mostly engaged by church organizations. It's very established organization in Papua. So very hierarchy also. And the top hierarchy of the church organization in Papua, they face the Papua situation to their to their international connections, where we can read Papua issue on English media now. And then other phrases like individual mostly. We met one in Wamena who tried to speak naturally, non-participant. Sometimes he speak about human rights. Sometimes he also speak about, he asked the insurgency group to release the pilots from the New Zealand. So he tried to be neutral, to be in neutral positions. And the other one we met is Sorong. He's very activist, has lawyer backgrounds, but it is most, he is like, he encountered more problem than other two activists we met because of his engagement, or he often fails the military operations in Sorong. For example, during the racism chaos, internet was shut down in Sorong. And that was the time, according to him, for the military to lead another chaos, religious conflict in Papua. So he sensed that and tried to give warning to everyone to hold their feet, and then the chaos didn't happen because of that. So this become like public enemy for the government. And but being a neutral voice, or promoting a peace voice, become like positioning oneself in gray zone, because it is the position that any conflicting party or those who has interest in the conflict can penetrate. So because can be penetrated by anyone, so everyone is suspecting them. So like a church, even it is very well most respected organization, and the priest also very well respected figure in Papua, but many of them were, some of them were killed also because was suspected either by the military force or the insurgency group. But the connections or the network they established was very strong, so everyone who tried to do harm to the priest have to really to think, because if they kill, they will become the killer will be suspected or become spotlight of international community and national community because of their important position. That also for the activists, but for non-organization, they have to take to build their long profiles to be accepted by both community. For example, one we met in Jayapura with a lawyer backgrounds. He started his non-positions career in this Papua issue since he was young, and then he received many threats from military force, insurgency groups, and then he very well respected among the Indians Papua when he defends a tribe in Wamena and successfully freed them from the excuse. And then he was invited by the government and also these people in every social conflict to mediate between them. Sometimes her presence was quite enough to calm down situation. So it is quite a long process for individual to be in that position. But for the church organization, because it is very established organization, that's well very not so difficult but still dangerous. Yeah. So I think that's all our presentation. So in conclusion, that although Papua has like a face common problem as we are reader outside sea, but the way they protect themselves or the way the civilian protections mechanism established in this area is very different. It depends on this local development, demography, the composition of transmigrant and indigenous people, and also the typology of the land, the geographical situations. And what we learn from their strategy is being part of a larger network. So there is no, although ones might be seen individually established or try to protect a group, but he actually part of a larger unseen group, unseen agency behind them. So, and I think that's our presentation, and we continue with discussion.
Thank you for another great presentation. I think it's so important that somebody has actually started to look at Papua that we know so very little about. I remember from your proposal that there's very little written about this. So thank you so much for this rich presentation. Yeah, let's take some questions or comments for the group. By the way, we will see some more of the drawings in the exhibition this afternoon. I do remember from the drawings that there is a lot around deforestation, exploitation of resources, and so on. So I wonder whether you want to say a little bit about that as well. That's kind of my question, how that comes in. Who has questions or comments?
I found it really interesting, and I wonder if you might be able to say something about because you said there was the levels of violence, which is why people had left and become IDPs and had to move, but whether or not almost like the violence follows them. So fleeing is a protection strategy, but then what did they do when they were there? Because presumably the violence wasn't just absent. That would be my...
Any other questions? Yeah, Louise.
Hello? Thank you. I'm Louise Ridden from Tampere University, but also formerly Aberystwyth and the Creating Safe Space project. I wondered if you could say a bit more about fleeing and the kind of agency that's attached to that. I thought that was really interesting. And I wondered especially about when people are preparing to flee, whether can that sometimes put them at risk if, you know, armed groups become aware that populations are preparing to flee, what kind of happens there and how people can mobilize to put that in place. Thank you.
Do you also have a question?
Quite related to that question, Fred again from Nonviolence International Southeast Asia. If we're talking of a particular group of people, either indigenous people or people who already have experience being independent, you know, just when you look at that particular people, there's a concept of they already know who protects them. And in many countries that became independent, when they were about to be independent, they knew who were the people fighting for them or for protecting them. And when they become independent, this particular group of people become the natural police, probably the natural armed force, who would continue that kind of role of protecting their people. So in the case of West Papua, I think we already know who are protecting the group. So I'm wondering if that comes out, because you would feel safe if you trust the one protecting you. And so eventually the structures that becomes the protector, either armed or what, is the one in the future probably who would define also that protection concept. Because in other people comes in, the transmigration comes in, they probably have a different idea also of who's protecting them, not the same as the indigenous people. So just want to add that. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to come back to these first?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I would like to go to the map. So, right. Do I have?
Can we take that in a sec? Can we? Yeah. So to just remember the question. Do you want to?
Yes. Sorry. Can we? Yeah. So, where here? Well. Does Phelim follow the IDPs? Well, most of the city today in Jayapura was like transmigrant city. So they established by Japanese and this Bush from Sulawesi who transmigrant. So the Papuan was pushed go outside of the city. So all the city mostly like very well protected because it's very all state organization there, including the military force. And there are different kind of threat or violence that they face in their house or in the place or in their destinations. So in their place of origin, they face direct violence from the military force doing the military operation. So killing, torturing, kidnapping is quite common, they experience in their village. But when they flee to the new place, like Sorong, for example, with this established city, like a transmigrant city where state institution present there, so they face different kind of threats. So, for example, one of our informants said that because in the military concept, the whole Papua, particularly from the mountainous area, from here, this is like conflict area, and also my brother here. So all the mountainous area are conflict area. That was in the idea of the military force. So anyone come from the area was considered as part of insurgency group. So different threat apply. So for example, in Sorong, one of our informants said that there is like empty list that's supposed to be filled by Mabrat people names, like 29 lists, and that list has to be filled randomly, and the officer has to pick up any name from my brother, so pick up ID, and that will be picked, and that names later will be kidnapped by the government, by the military force. Well, that's from the military force, and also they also cause another social conflicts. So, well, because of the influence of the established city, transmigrant city to the New Papua around, this New Papua around has less involvement, has less sense of independence. So they will think that those who come from the mountain will cause them problem, and then before that happen, they have to discriminate them. So in Sorong, for example, well, we knew their IDPs were around them, but no specific camp for them. And in taxi, we asked to the driver, do you know where's IDP around here? IDPs? No, we don't know that. So that should be around that city, Maibrat. So Maibrat like 6 hours from the city. And also people who collect donation not for the IDPs, but for anyone in need in hospital. So this is the sense of attachment to where the sense where their knowledge about local conflict is quite different. So this also affect their social cohesion to face such situation. So the violence mean that the violence doesn't follow them from their home origin, but they face a new violence in their heart, in their new destinations. So before they go to before they decide to flee, just to address the second question. So Papua mostly live in clan system, and that the lowest social organization of the Papua. So they don't know like nuclear family. So the clans can consist of 10 or more family. So their attachments to the clans really strong. So this enables them to organize any plan. And there are only two institutions they trust. The first is their chief, and the other is the church, the priest. So anyone who command from this either tribe, the chief or church, will be immediately followed. And like in case of my brats, the plan was secretly organized immediately after this murdering, after the killing of a military officer happens. So the priest visit every house of his parish community, including the chief. So in this armed conflict, the cultural institution doesn't work, because the chief also will be the victim of the military force. So the only function is the church institutions, because the church is very well respected by the military force and also by the Papuan. So but because of the church or the priest, for his mission, for religious mission, they try not to involve in this military, so he can organize them easily and very well accepted, and leads the flag in very early morning and reach the closest place for 2 days through the jungle and really the big wide rivers. So the military force, I think they do not well. They don't, so because of this cohesion, social cohesion among them, so it is quite difficult maybe, or well, to say impossible is impossible, right? So a small chance for the military force to know the plan to flee, because of the social cohesion and the social structure working in the people. So, and then they flee to the new place. Well, in case of my brats, they do not know who will save them. They just flee, just because of because they trust the church. So they believe the church will save them because of the networking system. But in Wamena, they don't have, they don't know who will save them except the commonality in culture and ethnicity with the host. And also the common grievance they share with the Wamena, who then welcome them and give them a portion of land to practice, to do agriculture. So we do not know exactly whether they know if there are people who protect them in the house, but learning from this situation and this cultural systems and church networking system, I think because they trust their chief, so they know the other chief will help them, but how they don't know, right? Moreover, these IDPs in Wamena, for example, they don't take any assistance from the government because they consider the government is the enemy. so that according to the cultural principes, they cannot take assistance from the enemy for anyone that they are still in the war with. So maybe that's a short question for you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Is it a very urgent question? Can you ask it kind of later? So first of all, thank you very much for the presentation. Fantastic. Before we move on to the next group, can I ask you to write down your ideas, your thoughts, your important points that you took away from this, and so that we don't forget, on a little sticky note. I give you 3 minutes for that, and then we move on to the next presentation. The last of today.
I know. Is everyone awake? It's been a long day. Yeah. Okay.
Next slide.
There's 3 of us, so you probably need to teach 3 of us.
Next slide and go back. And this one is soon. Hold on. Please point to me.
Not
that. Point to me.
Okay.
Because signal to yeah.
Okay.
No need to do like this.
Okay.
Point to me.
Okay, thank you.
Let's go.
So
You will stand on the podium.
I think all of us are just going to stand in various sits and stand just to keep this a bit confident. So, okay, so the introduction and then finally. No, I think I'll just wait for them to make this up.
Oh, yeah. Hi. Nice to see you. Oh, yeah, Jennifer, yeah. And the Durham one.
Yeah, it was, yeah. So, yeah, thank you so much for letting me join. We had another workshop this week, which was on different, sort of masculine protection, but we were actually looking at dialogue and what has been in martial practice. It was amazing because this is such a good chat.
So are you still here tomorrow then?
Not tomorrow, unfortunately.
Because tomorrow we have all to be in
I know. You tomorrow, so I unfortunately realised a bit late in the day.
Yeah. No, but good that you were able to come.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. It's just so it's just amazing to fit this into so happening. It's just like really nice for instance.
Yes.
We're only
Yes.
we could only ages long with this anyway.
Feel free to go back.
You know what came out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry you didn't get
No, it's okay. I mean, I can see that you've got some
we had lots of applications. So difficult.
Yeah. But,
Sweet companies.
yeah, the program that you've such an interesting wide variety
Yeah.
of projects. So it's exciting. Congratulations for the project.
Thank you. Shall we give it 2 minutes? So people can walk around a bit and kind of breathe. You can stand up. And,